All right, to finish this up, I'm setting my pencil to be a little bit more accurate so I can redraw these shapes and get a little bit more wibble and wobble to them. Make them look a little funkier. More spooky-like. And remember, I have that hole cut out now. And if I just hold down, I have the pencil tool. If I hold down Command, I can get to a selection tool, and I can select the inside edge. Because this is not a stroke, this is a closed path, and I can redraw that as well. All right, but you see there's a little cutout here. So let's review. How do I make an excluded compound path? Well, first I'm going to draw a new shape. Closed path. I'm going to go ahead and fill it with white just so I can see it clearly. Then I'm going to select that path and this path, holding down Shift. And that can be tricky. Selecting things can be tricky. That's why I like to use layers. And it's basically this one and this one. So I'm going to hold down Shift, select both of those together. Then I go to the Pathfinder tool, and I click Exclude, and you see it cuts it out, and then I can turn that back to being a black filled path. All right, so I've got a lot of those on this side too. I'm going to show you how I can use a perfect oval if I want to. So first let me make this kind of complicated shape. I love how direct it feels to draw these shapes in Illustrator. To cutting out these little snakes of lines, working on both sides of them, letting them go thin and thick. That's actually something I really like about this program. Where in Photoshop, you're only ever putting pixels down. And pixels don't have that sharp intention at the edge of shapes. They're always a little blurry or soft at the edge of shapes. And even though I took this from reference and I'm manipulating it and making it my own, by having to cut it out like this, I really feel more like the author than if I were just to use the pixels as they already exist. So I've got that closed path. I'm going to fill that in with black. Oh, I think I'm on the wrong layer. Sure enough. Let me lock these other layers. Where is it? There it is. I got to move it from this into this. Put it on top. Okay, lock that back up. Select this path again, make it black. There we go. Okay, now of course the problem is I need that hole cut out. So I'm going to let just this float on its own so it's always showing. So now I'm going to draw. Instead of using the pencil tool, I'll use the shape tool to make a perfect ellipse. And I'll just draw it in like this. And I'll go ahead and fill that with white, just so I can see it clearly. Then I select that path, hold down Shift with the path underneath it, go to the Pathfinder tool, and exclude. And then turn it back to black. And the reason I use layers so much is that just allows me to turn off the red if I want. Though the red is showing you how transparent it is, I can turn off the sketch. You see, that's looking pretty cool. I even don't mind the perfect oval. But for me, I don't really like perfect ovals so much, so I'll go back and revisit that edge and just redraw it now that it's all one path. Give it a little bit of bump. As long as I start and stop on the same path, it will recut it for me. bless you. Okay. Now, first and foremost, I want this to work just in black and white. I just have lots of little individual cutouts. There's nothing that says I can't let the cutouts overlap with each other. So I don't need to do them all as individual shapes. You see how I have that overlapping? If it's solid, if they're both solid black, they'll overlap just fine. You know, like so. And remember, you're working on the side of both the inside and the outside of the shape. So I'm doing the outside edge of these teeth now, make them a little bit more jagged, have a little bit more silhouette to them. I'm doing the gum line. And because I'm using reference, you want to keep those transformation rules kind of in mind. I want to reference the Colonel Sanders logo without copying it outright. And of course, I want to transform it and make it my own creative work. And now the teeth I'll draw on top. And now we'll do a multiple compound path. And I can modify them after, because these will look a little cookie cutter. So I have all those paths. I'm going to select them all, holding down Shift. And now, even though they're all black, I can still use Pathfinder to exclude them and then make them all filled in. Creepy. I accidentally put my sketch layer underneath my other layer, so I want to bring it out on top there. Then move it underneath. There we go. So do I like my teeth better than the teeth that were there? I do, but let's dirty them up a little bit. So now that it's all one combined compound path, I can redraw and put some of these cracks in some of the teeth. Zombies are very hard on their teeth. You don't expect them to be so smooth. Remember, in order to redraw a path, you have to make sure it's selected first. And you always have to start and stop on the same. See, if it's not selected, it will just make its own path. So I hold down Command, I select it until I see the anchors. I start and stop, and I should be able to change it. I think I need one more tooth shape in here. Hold down Shift, compound those, exclude. Turn them all to black. There I go. And if I want to, I can work on the outside shape as well. All right. So if I ultimately feel like this tooth is too wide, I can narrow it, and then I can also cut in on the outside shape. As long as I start and stop on the path. And everything looks so clean and finished because it's a vector. That's just what I really like. Some people get so addicted to vector graphics that they actually use it to make photorealistic work, which just takes a lot of time. And it's clearly not the most obvious tool to use for that. But it is tempting to just keep refining your shapes, endlessly cutting them out. Okay, but I wanted to show you some other approaches. So I showed you the oval tool. Let me now show you the pin tool. A little bit more hands-on. So I'm going to draw the bow tie. I'm going to do it on a new layer. This will be kind of a dark blue layer, and I'm going to use the pin tool for it. And this works differently than the pencil, because you plot anchors and then you plot curves between. So I'm going to start here, go over to here, click and hold and drag, click here, click here. Playing with my curves, click here. You can see I have a lot of curves. Click here. I just want to get all the anchors in. Click here, click here, here, click up here, click up here, kind of losing my way a little bit, click down here, click here. So it looks really weird because I have to modify it once I'm done by plotting these curves a little bit differently, but now I'm just giving myself the potential for it, and then closing the path here. Okay, so how do you modify it without just using the pencil tool and drawing it, which is always my preference? Well, let's take the whole thing, make it a little bit more transparent so I can see the sketch underneath. That helps somewhat. Okay, now you have a few different tools. You have the anchor point tool, which allows you to convert an anchor point from a curve to a straight. The shortcut for that is Command-C. You have the delete anchor point tool, which you can get to with the minus sign, and add anchor point tool, which you can get to with the plus sign, and the pin tool, which I can get back to with the P. So the first thing, are there any anchor points I don't want? I don't know. But if I do Shift-C, I get the convert anchor point tool.